What is up, Waffle Gang? I do hope you are well. My name is Mark, and today we're covering some more r/am I the butthole. If you'd like to skip the initial waffle, timestamps are in the description and along the timeline below. But if you are new here, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. I'm so very happy that you guys are enjoying the Christmas intro, the Christmas vibe. We need to get on it. 2020 has been a rough year, so let's get on that vibe and let's get it going. Some of you guys have kindly purchased some of the merch already. Absolutely amazing of you. I can't believe it. But link for that is down in the description below. And when you do receive it, don't forget to @ me on Twitter. I'd love to see it. But yesterday we had some new members. We had Maureen Foley over on Patreon. We had Lady Raccoon, Zoe C, Beth Pitkin, and Brian Lynn over on YouTube. Thank you so much for your support, and a special mention to Mercurial Melody, because I missed them off the other day and I'm very sorry for that. But thank you so much for your support. It really does mean the world to me. So thank you for that. And let's crack on with today's stories. Much love, guys. Not sure what the was about there. I was sort of ninja chopping the air at the same time. But anyway, our first story comes from Family Affairs 467. Am I the arsehole for never telling my parents I had a son that was given up for adoption? My parents were very cold, strict, and controlling people almost my entire life. Very religious and always cared about how the rest of their church viewed them, so they were even harder on me to always be perfect. I was out of the house at 18. I didn't have any money since my parents never let me work, so I lived with friends. My girlfriend and I were only 19 when she got pregnant. Neither of us with a place of our own, no money. We weren't at all prepared to be parents. Despite trying to break away from our parents' strict religious views, we still felt guilt about considering abortion. I'm completely pro-choice, by the way, but personally we couldn't bring ourselves to do it and looked into adoption instead. We went through the process and our son was adopted by a nice enough couple. It hurt for a long time, but we eventually moved on with our lives. The thing is, I never told my parents anything. I feared what they'd do if they found out. Yes, at that age, I still feared them. Mostly afraid they would try to adopt him and raise him in the same dysfunctional household, which I couldn't allow, knowing how they'd be. We were no contact at all when this was happening and didn't speak until after 15 years. My dad had a heart attack and was in hospital. I reached out and helped while he was in recovery. They both wanted to mend our relationship since this was a sort of wake-up call, and while it's not perfect and they're in some way still stuck in a certain mindset, I know they have tried to be more open and loving. Now, when my bio son was adopted, we agreed he was free to contact us once he was older, and that's exactly what he did when he was 19. Ben has been in my life for almost 2 years, and it's been such a blessing getting to know the wonderful man he grew up to be. Ben has expressed his interest in meeting my parents, as he's already met my ex's parents. He knows the whole story about them, and they don't know about him at all. He's fine if I don't want them to know, but I decided it was time anyways, and decided to speak with them. Boy, was it a major disaster. My mum was so upset she was almost in tears, and my dad wouldn't even look at me. They acted like I was a monster for never telling them they had a grandchild out in the world, and also angry at the fact I gave him away when they would have given him a home. They were far too upset, so I left the house. Despite having confirmation that they would have tried to adopt him, and it was the right choice not to let that happen. I've gotten a lot of talks from my mum's family agreeing adoption was the best choice, but my parents still had the right to know of their own grandchild's existence. For that, they believe I was in fact wrong for keeping them from knowing this. I understand lies, especially of this magnitude, would blow up eventually anyways, but I'm questioning whether my choice was so bad I'm the arsehole for it. Now for OP, I think this was always going to be a lose-lose situation for them. I mean, they don't tell the grandparents, they get in trouble. They do tell them, the child's in trouble, you know. But I personally feel, reading in this situation, that OP was in the right to do what they did. They were just protecting the child. Knowing what they've gone through in their own lives growing up and, you know, feeling this way, feeling that they always have to be perfect and couldn't get a job and all that sort of thing and not living their own life. Very dysfunctional, like OP says. So I can totally understand what they were doing in this story, and I think they were right to do what they did. If the grandparents did find out that they had a grandchild, who knows what they would have done. They may have adopted them, they may have tried to track them down and all this kind of thing, which is just drama OP didn't need, especially what they've been through already. But that is just my opinion. Let's have a look at the comments below to see what they say. Throwaway Cottage says, not the arsehole. You went no contact for years for a reason. They probably wouldn't have raised that boy any better than they raised you. Letting them know they had a grandchild would have probably caused a shit show. You kept that out and let your son have semi-normal and healthy lives. Noma81 says, not the arsehole, I grew up in a fundamentalist cult. I never would have wanted my own child to be raised in that environment. When you're extremely sheltered, manipulated, controlled and terrified by your parents, it is very difficult to make adult decisions. You were extremely young at the time. You did what you thought was best for your son and gave him a good life. You arguably made the best decision you possibly could have made for him. Hindsight is 20/20, and maybe you should have told your parents, but your reasons for not telling them are valid. I remember very well how easily I caved to my parents' whims, despite trying to stand up for myself. What if they hounded you day after day after day? Would you have been able to maintain your resolve and give Ben up for adoption? They would have placed an insane amount of guilt on you, and I know if that were me, I'd never want to raise a child in that environment, but the pressure from your own parents would have been insane. Your parents are mad now, but they would have been mad for the last 19 years if you told them. With the knowledge that you have now, you might question if you should have told your parents about your decision. I don't think there is an easy answer for that, but you did it from a sense of self-preservation, not to hurt them or to be spiteful. I'm not a cruel person. Despite the differences I have with my parents, I don't deliberately hurt them, but a part of me feels that you should simply look your parents right in the eyes and say that you decided to keep the knowledge of Ben from them because of how they treated you growing up, and you didn't want your own son to be raised with that same sense of despair. But I know how parents like ours play the victim, and it would only make things more volatile. When my parents tell me they are disappointed with me now, in my own head I just shrug shoulders like, you were never proud of me growing up, so how is this different? The only difference is now I live my life to take care of myself first. I wish I had more words of comfort or encouragement. I think you just need to find peace in the fact that you made the best possible decision for Ben. They can either choose to be in a relationship with you and your son, or they can continue to play the victim and not be part of your lives. Now I think that comment is everything that we need to say all in one, unless you have a different opinion. Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to vote on that poll in the description for story 1. And our next story is from Am I the Arsehole Veg Wedding. Am I the arsehole for serving vegan food at my wedding? My fiance and I are getting married in June next year. We're both vegans, and although we don't judge those who are not vegan, we wanted to serve vegan food at our wedding. We found a vegan caterer. When we sent invitations out, we added a note saying the food will be vegan. We also asked that everyone who has any specific dietary requirements let us know. The note made it clear that anyone who needed a specific diet would be catered for. Soon after the invitations went out, my aunt phoned us in a huff. My uncle does not want vegan food, he needs to eat meat, she said. I asked what his dietary requirements are, thinking that he has a specific medical condition and cannot eat a vegan meal. She said his reasons are cultural and he must eat meat. I said that's not really a good enough reason. We all come from the same culture, and it's not like it's a sin to not eat meat with every single meal. I explained to her that I wouldn't really mind him eating meat, but 1, it means I have to bring in a new caterer for 1 meal, which will be expensive, and 2, I don't want to pay for meat if I don't have to. Again, I'm not judging non-vegans, but it doesn't sit right with me. Weeks went by. The only people who had dietary requirements were 3 cousins, who eat a low-carb diet. My vegan caterer came up with a vegan low-carb meals, and my cousins were happy with this plan. Upon hearing this, my aunt phoned me again, angrier this time, asking why my uncle can't be catered for because he doesn't like vegan food. I refused again. I told her that the food consists of things I know he eats anyway. Vegetables, coconut, nuts, etc. I went through a list of ingredients I knew would be in the food, and she admitted he has no intolerances/allergies to any of that stuff. What's the big deal in him skipping meat 1 time? I told her if he's so adamant about the meat, he can buy himself a McDonald's and eat it at the kiddie table. Now my aunt isn't talking to me, and is instead talking shit about me to all my family members. I told her that they're welcome to simply not attend the wedding if they're going to bitch about the food. I understand that veganism is not possible or sustainable for many people in the long term, but come on, it's 1 meal that is free. Am I the arsehole? I don't want to seem like a pushy vegan, but I also don't want to pay for meat unless I have to. Again, it's 1 meal out of their whole life. I sort of love the comment the aunt came with the first time saying, he must eat meat. Like, God, he's going to die if he doesn't get the meat. But as a meat eater myself, if I go to a restaurant, 9 times out of 10, I will pick meat. If meat is on the menu, steak or something, I will pick it. But if I'm going to someone's wedding, so if I'm putting myself in their shoes and I sit down and it's a vegan only, I will certainly give it a go. Absolutely. I like to try new foods and all that kind of thing. And some vegan food does look pretty amazing too. And this almost sounds like it's a generation thing. And I'm not trying to criticize older generations or anything like that, but I know, like, I'm basing this off older generations sort of around me, my circle, like my dad and stuff like that. I know they very much like their meat and 2 veg, that kind of thing. And one of my great granddads, I know he would absolutely refuse to eat anything vegan, anything sort of like pasta, pizza, nothing like that. It was always sort of meat, 2 veg. But not that I'm making excuses for them. I mean, if you don't want the vegan food, don't eat it. Just sit there and don't eat anything. I mean, you don't have to complain about it. They're not going to bring in a caterer to cook meat just for you. I mean, come on, man. Like OP says, one day in their whole lives just eating some bloody vegetables. Come on. But A79 says, not the arsehole. Like you said, it's one meal and it's free. And most importantly, it is your wedding. X Stitch Pixel says, not the arsehole. Your wedding for one thing. If people don't want to eat vegan, they simply don't have to eat the free meal. And this is coming from a meat guy. Hypocrite says, not the arsehole. My cousin served vegan food at her wedding. It was delicious. Your aunt is being a pain. Green Sun says, not the arsehole, it's your wedding, it's a free meal and you already have the caterer. The only thing you've done wrong was the McDonald's kiddie table comment. But given the BS that's going on, it's forgivable. Vixen79 says, oh dear, how will I, a meat eater, ever survive without a meal for less than a day? Your aunt is being a big baby. Can't say for sure your uncle is, since he said nothing. For all we know, your aunt used him as an excuse, or maybe he's being a baby too. Not the arsehole. Tell her they can go to a steakhouse while the adults attend the wedding. Mad Midnito says, not the arsehole. Even Ron Swanson would keep his mouth shut on this and just eat a punch burger before and after. They have no class. Love Ron Swanson. But what do you guys think of this story? Let me know in the comments below and don't forget to vote on that poll in the description for story 2. And our next story comes from Dry Spell Mel. Am I the arsehole for telling my husband I will resent him if he doesn't go to my brother's funeral? My 35 female husband, 45 male, is a drug addict. This is something I knew before we got married. He has been using Suboxone to help him stay off the street drugs for years. We're talking 6 to 7 years. My brother, 38 male, died Friday and my parents wanted this service finished as quickly as possible. The date it could be done is tomorrow, Tuesday 12th of the 1st. It just so happens that it's the same day my husband goes back to his Suboxone doctor for his monthly refill. I told him if he doesn't go with me to the funeral of my only sibling that I know, I will resent him. If he doesn't go to the doctor Tuesday, he would have to wait until Saturday and will be going into withdrawal. My husband seems to think that the doctor appointment is more important than supporting me. He asked me flat out if he could skip the funeral to go to the doctor. In my opinion, he's asking my permission so that later, if I said yes, he could remind me of it if I got angry. He's walking around moping, huffing and puffing. He's making me feel guilty, but when I really think about it, I feel he should be there for me. So, am I the arsehole? And there's a bit of an update to this post, so we'll cover that, but we'll do some comments first and then we'll go there. So, a penguin girl says, you're the arsehole, your husband needs this stuff. Eternity says, you're the arsehole, wholly controlling abuser Batman. You said you'll resent him for getting the meds he needs to not be on street drugs. You don't seem to have the most basic understanding of how addiction works. Do yourself a favour and get the divorce paperwork ready if you're so hateful that you resent him for taking care of himself. Yeesh. And Finger Eater 8 says, you're the arsehole. What the hell is the matter with you? You can't deny your husband his medication. Do you know how horrible Suboxone withdrawal can be? How can he support you in other ways? Song in the Rain says, have you thought about how he might resent you if he goes into withdrawal or worse? You're the arsehole. He can be there to support you after the services. And That's Cool says, no one's an arsehole here. Unlike the majority in this thread, I don't think you're an arsehole. I feel like there's an overwhelming support because your husband is a recovering addict. But people forget you're human too, going through one of the most difficult losses a sibling can go through. Being around a recovering addict is hard. It takes a thick skin day in and day out. You're not an arsehole for supporting a recovering addict for years, and feeling like you have nothing the one time you need something from him. It's pretty shallow for anyone to think otherwise. Why is it fair for you to constantly pour into him, but you can't get support during your hardest challenges? Being he's an addict and you're not, so you also have to sacrifice day in and out, and be depleted and have no support. Ridiculous. With that said, you and your partner likely need therapy. I wish him the best, but you also deserve grace, especially if it's been 6 to 7 years with no progress. I'm sorry for your loss and I'm sending you kindness. I hope you find the strength to recover and you can find support where you need it. Then the edit says, my husband's doctor has not required him to attend counselling, and when I mention counselling, therapy, AA meetings, he wants no part. My husband overuses his medication. He's on day 3 of half doses because he overuses every month. Every month it is the same. He feels like shit for a week before the doctor appointment. My husband has supported me as far as a hug in the evenings if I get upset. He hasn't gone with me to clean out my brother's house, didn't go with me to say goodbye to his body, and didn't go with me to make the arrangements. Now he's also missing the memorial service. I told him to go to the doctor and he did. I've been voted on as the arsehole, I get it, but I feel like people have made a lot of assumptions about me. I do realise after reading that some of the comments that I may have worded things wrong with my husband. However, I do not believe I was wrong for telling him how I feel. I don't believe that hiding my emotions would have helped in any way. I am the arsehole and I'm okay with that. I'll just sort my own emotions out alone. Grief is a personal journey anyways. Now, what do you guys think of Opie in this situation? Do you think they are the arsehole for wanting the husband to skip out on that doctor's appointment and possibly go into withdrawal? Or do you think, they have been supporting for a long time now, so they deserve a little bit of support back? Or is there some compromise in the middle? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to vote on that poll in the description for story 3. And our next story is from a throwaway account. Am I the arsehole for making a scene at my niece's birthday party? This happened a few years ago, but it still gets brought up from time to time, so I wanted to know if I was the arsehole. For context, my husband and I, 38 female and 38 male at the time, have always had fertility issues. We struggled with conceiving our first child, and then we were told we couldn't have more children, so we decided to adopt our 2 younger children, 8 female and 8 male at the time. We love them just like our first child, and everyone in the family treats them equally, except their paternal grandmother, which is where the conflict comes in. My twins have a cousin who is also the same age as them. Let's call her Maria. Maria is the biological grandchild, so her mother, my mother-in-law, favours her more than my children, which really hurts them. She makes no attempt to hide it either, buying expensive and extravagant gifts for Maria on her birthday, which is a few months after the twins, and getting them presents from the Dollar Tree or something similar. Despite that, my sweet children always craved approval from their grandmother, but no matter what they did, she always favoured Maria because my children aren't really part of the family. One year we were having a birthday party for Maria, and her grandmother got her a Barbie dream house just a few months after she got my children plastic ping pong rackets from the dollar store. My daughter in particular was distraught, and I could tell they were clearly hurt, while everyone else was enjoying the party. They asked me why their grandma hates them so much and why they aren't good enough. Seeing my children like that absolutely broke me, especially since I've done so much to be able to adopt them and be their mother. I've tried to assure them that they were absolutely wanted and good enough. I walked up to my mother-in-law and demanded that she stop showing this blatant favouritism and start getting her act together, or she'll never see us again. We got into a big argument and we ended up leaving the party early. My husband thinks I was the arsehole because I made a scene at Maria's party and argued with my mother-in-law in front of everyone. While he loves our children, we've always had arguments because I felt like he was enabling his mother's behaviour towards our children. Am I the arsehole? Oh, bloody hell, it always breaks my heart when I hear that children are involved and, they're feeling this way, that they're feeling unloved by a relative or something like that. It bloody kills me, that does. But I think, to me, this isn't everyone sucks here situation. Yes, mother-in-law is a huge arsehole if this is what she's doing. The husband, well, if he's enabling this behaviour, he's also an arsehole. But OP is also an arsehole for bringing this up at a child's birthday party, for doing it in front of them, for making the kids feel awkward too. The kids are the innocent ones in all this. They know no different. This is something that needs to be dealt between the adults. Take your mother-in-law to one side, take her outside, talk to her then, talk to her at another time. Don't raise it in front of the children. That's just not fair on anyone, really, is it? But let's just say that you're only the arsehole because of the timing of it. You're absolutely right in what you're saying. Your mother-in-law shouldn't be treating those kids no differently and make them feel like shit like that. And your husband needs to be backing you up and defending your own children. Wow. But let's have a look at some of the comments to see what they say. Counting the Raven says you're the arsehole, but only for the timing. There was absolutely no reason to do it at the birthday party of a child who is in no way involved. Your husband needs to grow a pair and get his mum in line though. Go join r/just no mother-in-law. Angelic says, everyone sucks here. What you said absolutely needs saying, but that wasn't quite the best time for it. Maria hasn't done anything and her party got weird after that, I'm sure. Tally Piper says everyone sucks here just because of the timing at the child's party. Families sometimes let grave injustices happen against one or more of their own just because they don't want to speak up and possibly cause an argument. But by staying silent, people just get hurt and it can last a lifetime. Mother-in-law is just doing this because she's allowed to do it. You and your husband need to stick up for your kids. You said it still gets brought up. Who still brings it up and what is said? Greg R says everyone sucks here except the kids. Maria's party wasn't the place for your outburst. This is a serious issue that should have been discussed seriously and thoroughly. Get mad at your mother-in-law. Yell at her, sure, but not during a kid's birthday party. Your mother-in-law is the biggest arsehole here, of course, and your husband gets a special arsehole mention for enabling her. He needs to grow a spine and defend his kids more. And Acidic says, everyone sucks here, this is not the time or place, and also you let it go way too far for your prepubescent children were actually acutely aware of their grandmother's antipathy. That woman should not have been allowed to treat them in this manner for years, nor speak to them in this way without you saying anything earlier, and she sucks for obvious reasons. And finally, Fleet Dancer says everyone sucks here, and not just because of the timing. Your mother-in-law is an arsehole, your husband is an arsehole, you're an arsehole. The first time mother-in-law made it clear she was going to treat your children differently and you brought them around to her anyway, you became the arsehole. Why the hell have you forced your children to chase her love and approval? She's a horrible person, but it's not her job to make your kids feel loved and secure. It's yours, and you failed. Do better. Yeah, I didn't even think about it that way, but Fleet Dance is absolutely correct. Why did you keep taking the children round when she's treating them this way? Doesn't deserve to be in their lives, in my opinion. And that's mother-in-law that I'm talking about there. But what do you guys think of this story? How would you deal with it in the situation? Do you think that she was right to bring it up in front of that party, or should she have dealt with it in a different way? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to vote on that poll in the description for story 4. Once again, guys, thank you for being here today, and I hope you have enjoyed today's stories. And I've just got to say, I know I say it all the time, so bear with me here. 2 seconds, just give me 2 seconds. A huge thank you to the support you've been giving me just lately. It is just honestly mind-blowing to me what you're doing for me. You're literally changing my life at the moment. I swear to God, you are changing it. With every membership from YouTube, Patreon, and all these views and stuff, you are literally changing things. You guys gave me the confidence to go part-time at Christmas, and who knows where that might go from there. Hopefully, anyway. You guys gave me the confidence to like go with this whole Waffle Gang thing. You guys gave me the confidence to go with the merch. You guys, just with everything, you are boosting my confidence daily, and I'm so thankful for that. So thank you so much to each and every one of you, and I honestly mean that. Oh, welling up a little bit here, but you know me, I'm someone who speaks with my heart, and whether it's right or wrong sometimes, I just got to say it because I love you for it. So thank you so much, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Much love.